Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Philanthropy. On today's episode, we are going to talk to my wonderful, amazing artistic friend, Damon Little, and he is going to help us to uncover our creative side as a means of healing. Because, of course, with philanthropy, we want to make sure that we are hitting all of those four quadrants: emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual. And I think that art is a form of therapy and expression of our creative and spiritual sides. So I'm very excited to have Damon with us. Welcome, Damon. How are you?
Thank you. I'm really good. It's thanks for the good intro. That's awesome. But yeah, as you said, I'm an artist. I do a little bit of everything. I do some photography, video work. My passion is oil painting. I'm sure you know I've showed you some of my stuff. But I also work in the nonprofit sector as well. I work a lot with youth. It's a nonprofit called Vidia. Currently, we have projects all over the north, and we're coordinators within their community, and then having them with the youth. So that a lot of this is actually art as well. In the Yukon, we have a bunch of murals that just went up for some of our youth programming. There's about five in different communities. A lot of First Nations communities as well. So I truly think that art is a really good way of expression, of wellness. I think when you put your art out there, you're taking negative energy and you're turning it into something positive, as opposed to turning it into something negative. But yeah, thank you for the intro. It's good to be here. It's good to see you again. It's been a
It's so
while.
good to see you too.
Yeah, it looks like we have the same snagging blanket in our background as well, so that's cool. That was unplanned. That was unplanned.
Exactly. Well, when I went to go to my, set design, I thought this was actually the blanket was um, a thank you present when I was working up north, and I was like, oh, it was such a beautiful thank you present. I'm gonna hang it up, and yeah, it's my snagging blanket now.
Yes, I thought you were gonna say, "Oh, this was a gift from a boy up north."
This was my engagement ring.
Yeah, we're married now. He took it off his door. He gave me his door. So you know it's serious. At Cookham's house, in the unfinished basement.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a love story hanging on my wall now.
Tale as old
So,
as time.
absolutely. So I'll give everybody a little bit of background about how I know Damon. So we used to work in a Takakoop school together, and I was a VP at the time, and Damon was our one of our IT specialists extraordinaire, lifesaver, because I am not a techie girl. And even before this podcast, like 5 seconds ago, Damon was still helping me with the tech side of everything because technology is just way above me, whoosh, right over my head. And so, because I am just very weak in the area of technology, I was constantly bugging Damon, and also there was Aaron Little in the office too, and they were forever helping me with things. And so then, of course, Damon is an amazing artist, and I used to be a big painter. I haven't done as much lately, but when I was younger, painting was my life and drawing. And so we really kind of bonded on the art side of things. And then he showed me a Christmas video that he had made, a staff Christmas video. And it had been, I think, maybe the year before, 2 years before. And so it was really amazing. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, we have to do another one. And, maybe let's like work out a plot and everything. And you know what? That became our project, and we actually made like a video. There was a plot and everything. And of course, Damon edited it and set up all the scenes with all the staff all over. It was just really so much fun and just such an incredible work, that he really helped orchestrate. And so it was a lot of fun working with Damon. And so when I started this podcast, it just seemed really natural to have him on and to talk about art and that creative side. And I don't know if you've done any more videos or any kind of cool projects like that since.
After working at the school, I actually got hired as the communications coordinator for the band, and I stayed for about a year and a half. Did a couple videos for them. I did a fashion show video. I did a kind of a community video about our powwow we had. The first one was a couple years ago. And then, that Christmas one was probably the funnest one to do, though. Everyone was so into it. It was so fun because, it's the Christmas season, and, I was living alone. One of the first times I had like a really good festive Christmas was doing that video. And it was just getting everyone together, and everyone was so into it and stuff. I still get people message me about that one, and like it brought the school together in a fun way, I think, and I miss that for sure. That was really fun.
Oh, it really was. It was so amazing. And yeah, absolutely. The staff really got hardcore into it. And it kind of took over our jobs a little bit because we were all like budding actors and directors and, set people, and people were really getting into like the set side of everything. It was so much fun. And you know what? Every single Christmas, I always show people that video. I'm like, look at this. This is what I did when I was a VP. And sorry, Sean, I know we should have been working a little harder. If he sees this, that was our boss. When, that's what happens when you get artsy people together, though. Then it just,
Oh, totally.
it's like, the minds merge, the spirits merge, and really amazing things can happen. And I remember like going around and talking to staff, and I'd be like, okay, here's how it's going to be. We're going to, and I would lay out the plans, and I would say, you're going to come in here, you're going to do this, and this is what we're going to do. And then 5 seconds later, Damon would come in and say, no, that's not what we're doing. And I'm like, who's the boss here? I'm your boss. He didn't care.
Yeah. Well, as you know, tech stuff is really finicky, so.
Yeah, it really is.
But there was definitely a collective vision for it, and I think it came together really, really good.
It really did.
And that kind of stuff, for especially the festive season, we're coming up on November right now. Like, it's fun, and you shouted out Sean, like I got to shout him out too. He was a really cool guy, and I think he likes
really
that energy at the school. So, and
Yeah.
I think I don't know if we showed it to the students. We definitely posted it on the school page though. So I mean, people saw it. It got a lot of views.
It did. It did. It was really such a fun project. So then, of course, when I was thinking about philanthropy and, I'm always looking at tools that people can use in their own lives because, of course, the goal for me with this podcast is that people are learning how to fill up their own cups so that, they're taking care of themselves, and then through that, they're going to have the energy and the passion and the drive to be able to take care of others and to take care of the world and then be of service in the world. And so then, sometimes people can be so logical and they can be really focused on hardcore goals, and they forget to have fun, and they forget to tap into their artistic side, their creative side, and then that just always, and even if you look at schools, you look at curriculum, nobody really takes art seriously. It's kind of like this, frou-frou subject. And, English is more important. Math is always more important. And of course, being the artist that I am too, I completely disagree with that. I really think that, we need to promote more, art programs and more music and dance and movement and things, different outlets of creative expression. We're not robots that need to, constantly be fitting some kind of, I don't know, mold, some kind of academic mold. And so, yeah, I know that when I'm around you, we always have just such a really good energy. And I feel like I come alive with creativity and stuff. So I don't know. You want to tell me about like when you were growing up, what that was like to be an artist and how you leaned into it?
Well, I mean, I've always kind of been, I guess, an artist. I think everyone is an artist in a way. Everyone has a capacity to create. It's whether or not that they kind of foster that part of themselves. I started very young. I was drawing stickmen in my homework. I had we had these homework sheets we had to take home. My homework would be completely empty, but the margins of the homework were all like there was stickmen fighting each other and doodles all over the side of my homework, and I had nothing done on my homework. So it's always been I've always kind of been head in the clouds, kind of mind wandering, possibly undiagnosed ADD. I'm not sure, but I think in school especially, it can be like you said, our art is kind of an elective kind of thing. There's ways to express yourself in school, and oftentimes they're athleticism, like sports and stuff, are really schools really love sports. So like the extracurricular stuff is sports. So like the really athletically inclined people, how they express themselves in that way, they have this like thing that they can do that school supports them in a big way. For art, it's a little bit different. There's not many extracurricular stuff for art, and there's a different kind of like I was never like an athlete or anything. I was like the art kid. So oftentimes I think they get left out in the cold a little bit for stuff, right? The artistic the artistic people, like the drawers, the painters, the whatever, they're kind of like they're one class, their art class. That's when they can do art, but they have no extracurricular ways to do art most of the time. I think there like you said, there's a lack of I guess what would you say? I want to say seriousness, but like maybe like more of importance placed on art. Like it's kind of put on the wayside. But I was always an artist. And I think all kids are. We pick up a crayon, we draw, we doodle and stuff. I think everyone has the capacity to do it, and I think art it's not just like traditional art. Like if someone's really inclined in cooking, the culinary arts, there's different kinds of art, and I think it is expression. I think is the key to art is how you're expressing yourself, and a lot of times with art, if we're talking from the lens of like therapy, it's you're getting some negative energy in you, and you can either exhaust that way in a negative way, or it can create something. You can turn that negative energy into positive energy, and I think that's our true power as people, as spirits, as we're kind of energy wizards. We can change that energy that we get, but I always I was always into art. Maybe not as serious until I was an adult, but I was always drawing, making comic books. I remember this one time I made a comic book, and me and my cousin were arguing at the time, and I made like a comic book that was like had swear words and stuff in it, and like I was drawing him getting like beat up and stuff, and a bunch of swear words. And I remember I put it on my desk in my room, and my mom came in, and she when I was playing downstairs or whatever, she saw it, and she called me up. She's like, and showing me the comic book. She's like showing me all the swear words. Are you writing this? Are you writing swears? And it was like, for me, I was mad at my cousin, so it was a way to like express my anger in a way, right?
Right.
But I got in trouble because I was writing swear words in my comic book. But I always did that. I did comic books. I did little doodles all the time. I started painting in high school. I was not that good, and I never took it really seriously. graduated high school. Art was has always stuck with me. I'm always drawing, sketching, and stuff. I used to one of my favorite things to do. I was a metalhead in high school. I'm still a metalhead. But I used to, do you know Iron Maiden? You know Eddie from Iron Maiden, those old album covers. I used to draw Eddie religiously, doing different things and stuff. And I used to yeah, do a lot of tracing, and I was always drawing. It was fun to me when I was a kid. I mean, we weren't like destitute poor, but we were still pretty poor, you know, living hand to mouth. So obviously I got toys, but I didn't always get, you know, the good shit like that my cousins would get.
Yeah.
But my mom would buy me plasticine, like this clay that it doesn't dry up. So I would build these like things like these buildings and like little men, and I'd play with them, fight with them, and I'd build all these things with this plasticine, and then I'd like, you know, crunch it all up, put it back in the ball, and then I'd make something else and play something else, and I was like consistently doing that, and I never really got super serious with art, like legit, where I thought I could do something with it until I was already graduated. I had traveled around, and I was painting at home, and I did a few paintings. I moved to France, and this is just a few years, well, several years ago now. But that's where I seriously got into it. I had a lot of time. I was on a working visa, and at the time I didn't have a job, but I was living with someone, and I had a lot of time to kill. And they had like some little paints and stuff, and I just started painting. My friend's mom seen those paintings, and she was like, "Wow, like you're really good. Like you should do this." She took me to an art store, and this is in France, in the south of France, kind of by Montpellier area, on the coast by the Mediterranean. And she took me to this art store. It was this huge art store. This is like France is like, obviously, like France is like the capital of like art and stuff, right? So there's so
The
much
Louvre.
inspiration. Yeah, there's so much inspiration there. So and speaking of the Louvre, like okay, I don't want to go on too many tangents, but I love that place.
Yep.
So she took me to this art store, and she literally was like, "Get what you need." It's like, okay, and I like just went around, got oil paints and stuff, got some stuff, and she bought all that stuff for me. So I get back and I just get right into it, and I just put myself into it, and I'm in a place in France where not a lot of people speak English. Like it's very very francophone, no English at all. Basically, like there's a few people I met that spoke English. My friend was one of them, and she translated a lot for me. I learned
Yeah.
a little bit, but there was so much isolation there, and it was fun. I did a lot of cool stuff, and but I was there for 2 years, and I was very very isolated. You know, when you wanna have a conversation with someone, right? Like a meaningful conversation, and I did with my friend, but you need buddies and stuff too, right? So I was very isolated. I don't want to say depressed because it was such a good time in my life. Like I don't really see it as a depressing time, but I was like I needed some outlet, and I really really got into painting there, oil painting, and it was a way to have those negative feelings and to put it out, to get it out of
Channel
my
them.
body. Yeah, channel them, and it was incredible for my art career too, because it was like the first time I was considered as a professional artist. I was selling paintings. I was showing my work in the south of France, and I had commissions in Germany, and I was getting commissions and stuff. And I had so much time to do it, and I'd spend months on my pieces. And there's some pieces in France I'm very very proud of that took a long time to do, months to do, and it was really like a work of it was therapy for me over there, and it continues to be therapy to me. it's that alchemy, that energy alchemy. What, how can you change something negative and turn it into something positive? How do you create instead of destroy? That can also be, you get negative energy, negative feedback from the universe, and you destroy yourself with substances or your negative actions and stuff. And that's kind of that's what we're doing with it, with that feedback. And how do you have an outlet for that? But yeah, that's kind of my abridged story about how I got into art.
Oh, that's really cool. And I always forget that we have that like French connection because of course you did your, 2 years there and you did your painting there, which is really amazing apparently for your artistic spirit. But for me, it was yoga, right? Like I went to France for yoga for 3 summers. And so, that was a really amazing time for me. And I feel like I was tapping into like my spiritual side, but not really in a creative way. It was maybe a little bit creative because, of course, you're using your body in ways that you haven't before in yoga. Yeah, I went to the Louvre like I can't even tell you how many times. I'm going to say 3 times at least. And you know what?
Jealous.
One
I
time
only went once. I
I
lived
re
there.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And so you know what? One time we were there and we got locked in the elevator. Like it broke when we were in the elevator. And then so you're like
Really.
trying to shout for help in like France, aidez-moi.
Aidez-moi. Allez, allez, aidez-moi. Vite, vite, vite.
Exactly. And then of course, they're like trying to yell back. And of course they're asking questions in French. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die in the Louvre in an elevator.
I would love that, honestly. That would be the place to die for me. Just
No,
choke
and you
on
know
a
what?
croissant or something.
And you know what? It's so huge that it takes so long to get through all the sections,
But
like
you
if
can't
you,
do it in one day.
nope, you
If you
can't.
want to
And
truly appreciate the art, you can't do it in one day.
yeah. And you also have to like go with people who appreciate art, right? Because there's a lot of
Mm,
people who will just do the thing because it's on the checklist and they got to make sure that they
yeah,
said they went and
yeah.
they're
The
not
Mona Lisa.
actually. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
they're not actually passionate and that sort of thing. So, I definitely can nerd out in a gallery or museum,
Okay.
that's very
I
easy
would
for
live there.
me.
If I could live there, I would literally live there. I'd sleep in a closet and I would live there my whole life if I could.
Like this guy's not here to steal any art. He just like lives here in the
Yeah,
nooks
yeah.
and
Don't mind
crannies.
him. Yeah, yeah. Just some weird rat boy just that comes out at night to look at the paintings.
Just to admire the paintings, to draw
doesn't
them.
doesn't do anything bad. Just looks at them. Goes back into the walls when it's daytime.
That's so funny. But yeah, I was thinking about, like, what you were saying that art is not just like everybody has an artistic side and everybody, can be drawing or painting or finding some medium that they can, be tapping into with their creative side. But I really liked that, you said that we can all be creative and I think that, you know, it doesn't even matter what capacity you work in, that you can somehow bring creativity into it, right? What do you think are ways that people could tap into their creative side if, say, they're listening right now and they feel they're not creative at all and they only draw stick men and, maybe drawing is not for them? What do you think are some natural ways that people could tap into their creativity?
I think, speaking from experience, like it sucks to suck at something, especially when you're good at something else. Like if you're really excelling another way, it sucks moving into a new medium, and realizing that you're a beginner, a novice at something, and a lot of times that's discouraging. But I mean, if you are if you're drawn to something, like if you see something and you're like, I want to try that, like that looks interesting. Like, Spirit telling you, no, try it. Why don't you try it? Like you're focusing on it, you're putting some attention on it and stuff. And I think just making that first step on what you want to do. Like let's say if you are drawing stickmen, like that's how I started. Like it was literally just stickmen and like army tanks shooting at each other and stuff. But I think just getting over that first initial step to do it, like maybe you commit to something by buying something that is required to do it. Maybe you if you're interested in photography, you appreciate photography, you don't know where to go and you don't know what to buy. You don't have money to buy it right now if you have your phone. For most of the time on phones, there's a professional mode or a manual mode on the cameras and stuff. Switch it to that and figure out the settings, what they mean, and just test it out and stuff. I think I think just getting over that initial hump into doing it is the hardest part. When if you're drawn to something, just give it a try. I always say, you can't grow in your comfort zone. If you're into like a schedule and you're doing everything over and over like clockwork, I feel like it's hard to grow if you're not uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, you're kind of you can be stagnant. So I think getting out of your comfort zone in the first place is a good way to get into your creative side. I think everyone kind of is drawn to something, some type of creativity, and I think creativity is such a broad thing. It doesn't have to be, like I said, classical stuff or whatever. Like it could be simply trying out a new recipe. Maybe you're stuck in the hamburger soup, the hangover soup, and like Katie with hot dogs and stuff. And you're stuck into that mode, microwaving some Pop Tarts and stuff. Whatever those are, what are those things?
Pizza Pops?
Pizza Pops. Yeah. I've eaten probably 1,000 of those. But like maybe trying a different recipe. That could be something. Just getting out of your comfort zone initially, and just being willing to be bad at something at first. And I think that's the deterrent for a lot of people to get out of that comfort zone, to get into new mediums and stuff. Is it's hard to come face to face with the reality that you're bad at something. But the more you do it, and especially if you're drawn to it, like why not? Why not? You don't have to show people if you're getting into painting. You don't have to show people those first paintings you do. Those
Yeah.
can be the stepping stones, right? Like just do it. They can be for you. You can destroy them when you're done or whatever. Like just getting into just I think coming to face with your own limits and pushing those limits every time, I think is a good way to get into new hobbies, to new creative pursuits. And I think that goes beyond even artistic creative stuff, pushing your limits, getting out of that comfort zone and pushing that limit, because you can. It's you won't be bad at something forever. The cool thing is every time we do something we get better at it. So it's not like we will be that way forever. We're gonna get better. And I think that goes for wellness too, right? Speaking, of spiritual, mental, physical wellness. We will get better. There's this quote from this cartoon. It's kind of a silly cartoon called I think BoJack Horseman. So it's a silly cartoon, but there's this guy who he tries to go running and he like passes out, and there's this runner that he sees every day, and he tells him the hardest part. I might be butchering this quote, but he's like, the hardest part is today, but it gets easier. And I think that goes for so much stuff, right? Everything we do is it can be considered a new experience, but we can either push ourselves to get better, or we can let that limit push us back. And I think that's the constant struggle that we face as people. But I think I went way over your question.
No,
I
I
kind of
love it.
forget what
I
the
love
question
it.
was.
I really think, what you said was really true that I think, we just need to get over that fear of failure, of not being amazing at something, which,
Mhm.
especially if we're looking at, the greats like Mona Lisa, like, oh, and I think that we kind of are overachievers in society that, well, I'm not going to do something unless I can be the absolute best. And then
Yeah.
we start to really think that there's no value if I'm not number one at this, which is
Mhm.
a complete lie. And so I like that, you're saying, that we need to be pushing ourselves to try something new, and even if we're doing it privately, right? Like I think that,
Yeah.
exactly like what you said, there's still benefit. And what I'm wondering, because we're going to encourage people to be creative, and what do you think is the ultimate benefit if we push people to get inside their creativity and to try these new things and commit to, purchasing the yarn for crocheting, or just, some new cookbooks or whatever. What do you think is the ultimate benefit for people now that they're tapping into their creativity? What is going to happen for them?
I can speak for myself on this one. My my ideal state of being is creating, is painting, and you see this thing that you started out. You see something in your mind, and for me, it's gotten to a point where it's like obsessively, like I'll get something in my mind, and I need to get it out somehow. And a lot of times it's a weird ass painting that comes out. Just having that, like, that spark in your brain, like you have this vision of something, and then you put it out there, you start it, and just to see it, like, come to fruition, like to come alive. It's one of the most satisfying feelings I've ever felt in my life. And to actually finish something when you're looking at it, like, there's times where I will, like, I will sit and I will look at a painting that I'm working on, and I'll just stare at it, and I'm manifesting something. And it's like you're putting you're making your mark in the universe, like you're crystallizing something in time. And it's the most satisfying feeling to see something come alive by your hand, to become real. And there's someone I very admire very much is my uncle, and he's a carpenter. And you know, to have nothing but raw materials and then to build a house, it's the same thing, right? Like, there's this, like,
Yep.
level of satisfaction that you get. Like, it's like it's unlike anything else in for me in my life, is to see something like that you just create, you bring to the universe, and
Bring life.
bring life to something. And it's the most satisfying feeling. And there's pride there, like, I think. And, like, even if it's not like a freaking classical painting that would be hung up in the Louvre, like, it's still something that you put your time into. Another quote I really like is from my late grandpa. He passed away a long time ago, when I was probably about 10. But I have very good memories of him, and a lot of people talk very highly of him. And his sons would always tell me his favorite saying was, "Work to the sweat of your brow." And I think that goes for art too. Like, put time into something. Put time into something, and you'll see it grow, and you'll see it evolve. And there's nothing like that. There's like nothing like seeing something come out of your head onto something. And I think
Hmm.
that's the true, that's where the therapy is, I think. And I think a lot of the times too, art can be really controversial. It can be really provocative, and I think that's exactly why, is because someone was getting something, they're getting some type of energy into them, and they're putting it out into something. So it can be really offensive, provocative, or controversial, or polarizing. And I think that's the best art, honestly. Like, I think that is the art that is, like, it's moving people in a way, and
It's
it
touching them
maybe it
somehow.
yeah, it touches them somehow. It could either touch them in like, oh, I really love this, or it's like, oh, this is blah blah blah, it's disgusting, or whatever. It's this is bad, and it's like really like it's moving people. It's giving them like a feeling, and it's like that's like what the why we do art is to to give a feeling out there, and I love showing some of my more abstract pieces to people. There's one in particular that I've heard a lot of different. When people see it, they're like, "Oh, this makes me like I feel like I think it looks like this," and then I'll have someone who has a totally different interpretation of it, and it's like it's really cool because like you're sharing something of yourself, and it's like it's not a bad word, or it's not a it's not words. It's like a highway to the soul. You're
Hmm.
connected in like in a spiritual level, and without words it's like you're it's and I think that's why I do it. That's why I do art, is because I truly feel like I need to get some stuff out. And I find when I'm not doing art, that's when I start getting depressed, and I start like it's almost like it's my calling in a way. I think everyone has some type of calling. Work aside, of course people can really say, oh, I really do good work and stuff, but like there's always some type of expression that you need to do. And I think in society too, a lot of times it's especially for Native men, it's in the groups of Native men, it can be looked down upon to express yourself a lot of times. And so then we have men's
Do you think
mental
that's
health.
Native men only or all men?
I think it's all men. I can definitely relate more to Native men for sure, because of course I'm a Native man. I've kind of grown up in these spaces, but I think it is all men. There's kind of this role that you have to fill, as kind of like a stoicism is really, it's respected in men culture. And I think it's getting worse too. Like there's this like hustle culture, and kind of where it's like young men are being seduced by the likes of like Andrew Tate and these misogynist men who are basically just reinforcing those ideas that you can't feel stuff, you can't express yourself, you gotta make money, you gotta you gotta spread your seed, all this shit. And it's like this toxic stuff that's like coming back again. And, I think that's terrible. I think it's really bad, because it's bad for men's mental health, and it's bad for how they treat women. Is another negative of that kind of culture, that hustle culture type shit. And it's like then you're just, if you're not making money, then you're not being right. You know what I mean? You're not right. And I think it's tough. And I've felt that for sure. Like I think men's wellness is I think it's a different animal than women's wellness. I think, and I think there is some all-encompassing things, but I think specifically men's wellness has its own kind of pitfalls and stuff. And I think men are very afraid to express themselves, and it's kind of sad, really. It is sad, because if you don't express yourself somehow, if you don't exhaust that negative energy somehow, it's going to come out in a bad way. It'll come out negatively. It'll come out all at once. It's tough. It's tough out there. And I think people need to be creative in some manner to just exhaust that bad energy somehow. And it doesn't have to be just art. It doesn't have to be painting, right?
I think that's really powerful that you said that. And it's obviously going to be more powerful if you say it than if I say it, because you are a man and this is your lived experience. But I think that what you're saying is really powerful in the sense that, just recently, probably in the last couple episodes, we've been talking about men and suicide and how across the board around the world that this is like a really prevalent problem that, men are suppressing emotions, they're bottling emotions, and because they're not expressing them, verbally, then they're bottling them up and then they take it out on themselves. But I like that you also pointed out that, it can come out in other ways too, right? It can come out as violence, it can come out as physical violence, it can come out as depression. And so the mental health impacts that happen as a result of suppressing your emotions, where, art is a nice outlet in that sense. And I don't know why, and I don't know what it is about art and, tapping into that creative side that really unlocks, our vulnerabilities, our emotions. And I think that's particularly why, as you mentioned, it can be so evocative when people, take in your art. If they're like, looking at something, if they're listening, even through music, right? Music is such a powerful conduit for emotions. And I think, when we tap into that side, then like you said, whether you produce something that's, enjoyable for others, I think that's beside the point. Like if you look at
Mm,
art,
yeah,
like this is
totally.
going to be this is going to be my outlet, because I know, the amount of women that I've talked to who say my partner doesn't go to therapy, we have all these issues and I wish he would go to therapy. I'm in therapy and I'm in there alone. And, here is like maybe something that they could encourage with their partner. Like maybe you just need some kind of outlet, like you don't have to talk to me, you don't have to talk to a therapist. Maybe what you need is to allow yourself to channel those emotions and get them out in some way, shape, or form that's considered healthy, right? That it's
Yeah.
not like taking it out on your partner or whatnot. But yeah, no, I really like that you mentioned that, because I'm reflecting now on, I remember I had this relationship and it was a really bad relationship. It was toxic. Like he cheated on me and it was really devastated me. And I remember that, I was still processing after the breakup, and I had, connected with a friend of mine, and this friend had been like, "Hey, I'd been talking about my art, just, whatever, like this was something that I used to do. I used to draw, I used to paint." And he was saying, I want to see something that you paint. Like, can you paint something tonight? And I was like, yeah, and I thought, okay, no problem. I'll go sit and do that. That'd be fun, then I can, show even the stages, like this is where I started, this is where it ended up. And I remember, like, I kind of started and then I like just stopped, and I like had this complete total breakdown and I couldn't paint. I couldn't, and I was like a basket case. And I remember thinking after, like, what the hell is going on? Like, painting is like, it comes so easily to me and I don't understand this. And, here I was, just this emotional wreck all night long. And then was like, okay, you know what? I'm still going to try. I'm going to try. And then I painted something. And then, because I was like, this was my goal. I'm going to prove that I'm an artist, or, just share something. And I shared it. But that stayed with me. It was so intensely powerful. And what I realized was, when I was in that relationship with that person, the person who cheated, that like my creative side got locked up, like it all bottled up inside me, because and I recognized this later, that in order for me to paint, I need to be intensely vulnerable with my feelings. I need to just tap into everything, exactly what you said. The good, bad, the ugly, whatever's inside. I'm alone with my thoughts. I'm alone with my feelings. It's just me and creator and this creation, whatever it is. And because I couldn't be vulnerable with this person, because this person wasn't safe to me, I bottled up all of that.
Hmm.
And then that's why I think I had that really intense
Right.
reaction that,
It stifled your
yeah,
output.
Yeah. And then I recognized after that, I was like, you know what? The person that I date or, anybody going forward, I need to know that they're emotionally safe because I know and understand what happens to my spirit when I'm with somebody who's not safe and how it completely, dismantles all of my creativity, my need to be vulnerable, like this healthy process that I had grown into now is completely stunted. I don't know. It was really intense.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Like when you're doing your creative stuff, like motivation comes from somewhere, and a lot of the times it's your surroundings. And I think if you feel unsafe, even if subconsciously you feel unsafe, like your body is wanting to. It's not in a space that it can create. I think it's in a space where it's in defense mode. I
Yeah.
think, and I think our bodies know a lot of stuff that our minds don't. You know, you can call it subconscious stuff or whatever, but like I think if you're like you said, if you're in an unsafe environment, you know, not only can you create, but maybe you can't do other stuff too. You know, like you're in self defense mode. And I think it is a privilege to be able to create, to be able to sit down and create. Right? We have people that are in abusive relationships or unsafe relationships, and you know they're on guard, they're walking on eggshells, kind of thing.
Right. Right.
They don't have the the capacity to be creative. Or we have if we're talking about underprivileged underprivileged people who are really struggling to make ends meet. Maybe we have people that don't even have shelter and stuff. Like you have those what's it called, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You ever hear
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that they're focusing on food and shelter first and foremost.
Right.
Their mind is not in the creative space that they can create. Their mind is not in a way that they can start planning for the future. They are in survival mode. So I mean, being able to create it is, I think, to be able to have that stability, to have that motivation to create, that's that's a gift, I think, and I think a lot of people they just don't even have that opportunity to create, and it's tough, but I mean maybe there's little steps in how you do that. For me, I don't know, like I'm lucky. I work, I have a roof over my head. Um, I get real down on myself about stuff, and you know I'm all blah 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 blah. This, life sucks, blah blah blah. I hate this, but then I'm like, I have to check myself. You know, I'm very privileged. I'm very privileged to have time to create. Even time is another thing. Forget about motivation. Forget about that creative spark. But I have time to do it. A lot of people don't even have time to do it, right? You know, they take too
It's
much
true.
off at work, and you know their creative side is shriveling up because of their, you know, either motivations, what they have to do, um, do I have to eat, like they might not even have that opportunity due to that privilege. And I think that can be a reflection of society, I think. And I think the artists who challenge society, I think, have all throughout history have kind of spoken the same kind of stuff about society. And it's tough, right? Like, you know, especially for young people. You know, living in this, they're growing into this new age of technology, AI and stuff. AI is creating art at a crazy rate. AI can do so much stuff. It can be disheartening for artists. Artists are losing jobs. You know, if you want to be an artist full time, you got to compete with AI, and you got to compete with companies that are using AI because it's free, because it's cheap. And there's the market for artists is shrinking. So if you do want to be an artist, it's very hard nowadays. Um, but I think I have some type of theory. I think a lot of people are a little bit averse to AI and stuff, and I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a renaissance in the act of doing art. Like it's not going to be the result of the art; it's going to be like the process. And I think there's going to be a renaissance and kind of like a performance of art that's going to come back, and it'll be a renaissance of like traditional media and like traditional stuff, and it'll be how they get to that point. And I think just it's tough, right? It's tough out there. It's tough out there. Not everyone can just. Not everyone has the capability to buy paints or to buy a camera or to buy yarn to or even hockey equipment. You know, like just that, even that expression of self. It's if you're in a family living hand to mouth, like it's tough. How do you express yourself? Can you even express? Do you have time to express yourself? Do you have the resource? Are you hungry? Because you're not thinking about art when you're hungry. You're not thinking about art when you're cold, right? So there is this level of privilege that comes with being even able to give out that creativity. And maybe it starts with little things, and I just don't know. I I wish I did know, because even myself, I find it hard to find motivation to paint and to have that expressive output. It's tough. It's tough out there.
Well, I think when you think of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like you had mentioned, that's like very big in the education world. We all, like all the teachers are always talking about it because, they need to help students get to higher levels, right? And when you look at the diagram of, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the very top, at the apex, it talks about how that's like the full expression of a human. Like we're getting to
Self actualization, I
self
think it's called, right?
actualization. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a yogi. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, I do think that, we forget about the significance and the importance. And I think a big part of that is that, I think that emotions are very close to your spiritual side and your spiritual sense, because to me, emotions are, we're tapping into, something deep inside of us, which helps us to connect to that, self-actualization. But also, emotions are a means for us to collect information from the world, connecting to others, connecting to creator.
Yeah,
And
it's a
so I
response to stimuli.
Exactly. And so I think that, we put it to the side, but then when we don't make it this, important aspect of being and we sacrifice it, then that's where it almost always happens, where we have the bottled emotions, we have the depression, we have the rage. Look at Hitler, got rejected from art school. The famous example. This is why we need
To be
people to be
fair, his art
artists.
kind of sucked, though. I looked at his art; it's not that
Did
good.
you? I've
His
never seen
proportions
it.
are all wrong. Are all. I can see why he was rejected.
But, I think like how do you even get off your butt, I guess, and say, okay, you know what? I need to do this. I need to make time for this. I need to, because you recognize it and you're a full-fledged artist. You have committed to this lifestyle. And even for you, sometimes it's a struggle. So how do you say, okay, I'm going to make the time. I'm going to, what do you do to push yourself in that direction?
It's hard. For myself, it is very hard to get going on it. I work from home when I'm not traveling for work, and it's hard to actually set time aside for it. I'll get a spark of inspiration sometimes, and then I'll just have to do it. But I think a good way to get into the zone, to get into it, is to do the menial tasks first before that are required to do that, to do what you want to do.
Like
So
waiting.
specifically talking about painting,
Yeah.
you need to keep your brushes really clean. And so what I'll do is I will, okay, I'm gonna clean my brushes. So I'll start to clean my brushes, and it's just a menial thing that I can just do automatically. Start doing that. Okay, I'm gonna get my canvas. My brushes are clean, and then it's like an entryway into that. Just doing something menial that is required to do it.
That's
So let's say
connected
if
to
you're,
it.
yeah, and it's like just some task that you can just you can automatically do. It's not something that is like it's not something that's like a create. Okay, I gotta paint like a okay, like and getting into the
Get
creative
all the
side of
emotions
it.
out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the like intimidating part is like the
Yeah.
actual like
Yeah.
putting making it, but like doing the menial stuff at first. I think that's a good way to kind of because you'll have your clean brushes and you're like okay like I can use these now, like, and then you'll kind of get into it that way. Say if you're in the culinary arts and stuff, like if you're like me, you have a bunch of dirty dishes always all the time stacked in the sink that like
Oh my gosh.
I'll do those later. But like if like let's say you want to do a new recipe, like clean your fucking dishes first, and then you clean your dishes,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
clean your good pan, your cast iron pan, clean that, and then once that's all clean, then you're like, all right, now I can do it. Now I feel like I can do it. There's this one thing that was bugging me about it, and you did it, and now you can kind of ease into it. And I think you just gotta do it. Like it's like literally like it's as simple as setting up your workspace. Once it's set up, that's the hard part. Creating the space to do it and the time to do it, that's the hard part. But once you do it, you get over that hill. It's easy to start mixing your paint, putting it up there. And then once you do it, you're just like everything just melts away. You're in the zone. You're doing the thing you love. Why do I avoid this? I love doing this. You're thinking, why is this so? Why am I averse to this? This is what I want to do. This is what I love. I feel in control right now. I feel like everything is okay. Why am I averse to this? Why is it so hard to get over that hump? To be this way, to express myself into something. Then we start to ask ourselves, okay, why is it? Why am I so averse to getting over that hump? Why am I scared to create? You start thinking, okay, maybe I'm afraid to do it because I'm afraid to fail. Maybe I'm afraid to do it because I don't want to leave something undone. Maybe I'm afraid because I don't have time to do it. I got something else to do. Then you start thinking, okay, I'm understanding why I'm averse to this, why I don't want to express myself. Then you
It's
start
holding you
thinking
back.
inward. Yeah, then you start thinking inward. Why don't I want to express myself? What's holding me back from expressing myself? Do I not want someone to see this work that I'm making? Do I not want someone to hear what I need to say? Do I not want to say what is truly in my spirit to someone? Do I not want to ask for help? You start thinking inward. Why don't I? Why don't I? Why don't I? Why don't I? It's because I'm hurt in a certain way. It's because I'm afraid someone will see me who I am. I put on a mask every day, and this painting is my face. I don't want people to see this painting. This is who I am, and I put on a mask for everyone to see, so I can't let them see this. But you have to. I think that's the true power of art, is you're putting something out, but not only are you putting something out there, you're introspectively digging, you're mining feelings, you're mining stuff, inspiration from your spirit, and your spirit is being put out there in a certain way. And I think that's scary. I think that's scary for so many people because,
Putting
we're
yourself out
conditioned
there.
yeah, we're conditioned to put ourselves out there in our best way. Look at Instagram. Everyone's posts are, this is me doing this awesome thing. I'm so, I'm doing this and this and this and this and this. Social media has ruined expression of ourselves, like our we have a digital version of ourselves right now,
Mm.
and it's not who we are. It's not who we are. It's
It's
you
our
know it's
manufactured self
it's our yeah,
that we're
exactly.
presenting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think true art is a true expression of ourselves. So it's like, a lot of times it doesn't fit with that curated version of ourselves. Maybe it's not as good as what we're putting out there on the internet. I can't share this because it's ugly. It's not, good
Perfect.
enough. Yeah, it's not perfect. And that's what social media has done to our mentality is everything needs to be perfect because we're competing with everyone else's perfect manufactured selves. We're not putting our ugly self out there. Of course not, right?
So we're doing AI versions of ourselves.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And now AI is just gonna go create a copy of ourselves at some point, and then it'll be the perfect copy of us.
Yeah,
And
like
we'll
the
be looking
Stepford
in the mirror
wives.
of it. Yeah, totally. And we'll be looking at ourselves in a mirror, and that version will be better than us because that's all we're putting out there.
That's our
We're not
Snapchat
putting the ugly
filter.
stuff. Yeah, totally. Oh my God, it's gonna be scary. Just watch out.
Oh, my friend. You know what? I know we can just talk about art all the time. I
Hmm.
know that's how it always is when you and I get
Yeah,
connected, that we talk
totally.
for hours about the emotions and, the spiritual side of art, which is why I knew you would be amazing on this podcast, and you didn't disappoint me. I think there was a lot of really amazing content shared today that, people will be unpacking for a while, and maybe hopefully they're gonna tap into themselves and connect, fearlessly, to what they need to connect inside. And so I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for you for sharing and, helping me to unlock some of this stuff too. Cause I mean, it's always so amazing chatting with you, my friend.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to talk to you too. It's been a while. I missed you a lot.
Oh, I missed you too.
Um, if you want to see my perfect curated self, you can follow me on Damon J Lil. That's DamonJlil on Instagram. That's all I have for now. But yeah, like I said, it was very very good to see you again, and I hope we can do this again. Maybe there's a part two because I feel like there's still a lot we can get into.
Oh, we 100% can.
Yeah,
You
and I'm a
start getting your
basket case too, so like you can start analyzing me, and we can get into my all my fucking ugliness. I don't care. I don't give a shit.
psychoanalyze you on the
Yeah,
show.
psychoanalysis.
Just kidding.
Can you not post that? I just gotta just wake up in the morning. Just, no, what did I do? What did I say?
What did I do? Damn, Jess. She did it again.
Shit, it's too funny. But
Okay,
yeah, I'm
well,
so glad. I'm so glad you're doing this. I again, thank you so much for having me.
you're the best, my friend. Okay, well, I hope the listeners enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. It's always just so natural and effortless talking with you. And so I'm really grateful to you for your time and your energy and your inspiration. And I hope people check you out on Instagram. Maybe you have some paintings they can look at or
I
buy.
do have most of my work there.
Good. There you go. Okay, so everybody add him, go check him out, and we'll be planning a part two. So we'll be coming back with more about art and creativity and unlocking your true genius through art. All right.
Aye,
Well, take
aye.
care, Damon, and thank you everybody for tuning in today.